Hey everybody, welcome back to Sophisticakes by Mary. So I'm on this little origami trip lately. I'm really loving these origami cakes. So this time I was heavily inspired by an Instagram artist. I will massacre her name if I try to say it, so I will leave a link in the description below. And I decided to give this design a try. And for this, I don't even know what to call it. It's like an inverted fan type design. I needed something a little bit sturdier than parchment paper. So what I decided to try was it's butcher's paper. One side is shiny, as you can see there, and the other side is dull. Now you're gonna wanna put your chocolate on the shiny side so that it releases better from your chocolate. And you can see it's a little bit more rigid than parchment paper. So to fold this, I just played around a lot this weekend on how to do this, and I found the easiest way for me to do it was to fold the paper in half. I cut it to the height of the cake. And I didn't want to go much further than about 12 inches wide because then it gets harder to work with. But I marked the middle by folding it, and then I marked every half inch along the top and the bottom and both sides. And right there I realized that I needed it to go the other way so that the shiny side would be on the chocolate side. So what I'm doing there is I am using the middle crease and every half-inch marker as a guide. And I go from that middle mark to each half-inch increment on either side of that. And then I'm alternating my fold and flipping the paper back and forth as I go, because it's an accordion, but it's a fan-shaped accordion, I guess is the best way to describe this. So you're gonna need to make sure that you're alternating your folds each time. Flip it over each time so you get that accordion shape. And I did 2 folds in the middle, and then I alternated it so that I had, I don't know how to put it, but basically 3 folds in each fan. Does that make sense? It's so much easier just to show you than it is to try to explain it. I guess the key to this is to alternate your creases on each side of the paper each time. And then do the same thing on both sides. And you'll do this throughout your entire piece of butcher's paper. And you can go back in and reinforce those crease lines, because I'm on a search. If anybody has any ideas of other kind of paper that would work better for this, that would be even a little bit more rigid than the butcher's block or butcher's paper, please let me know. I just don't know what it would be, because I loved the way that this cake turned out, but I wish that my lines were a little bit deeper. Where I had, right there I got confused. You can tell by the hesitation. Don't be afraid to go back in and refold it. It's fine. There are enough crease lines on this that one little bobble is not going to show up. But yeah, if you have any ideas, I cannot find it anywhere, because a lot of these cakes, I just kind of figure it out as I go. I do a little research and then I give it a go, and guess what? That's the version that you see. Yeah, please let me know, because I would have liked these crease lines to be a little bit more deep and a little bit more crisp. What happens is the weight of your chocolate kind of softens that crease line. And there we go. That's my pattern. And what I did was I used white chocolate and I colored it with oil-based food coloring. Some blue and a little bit of black to get this color. It worked out for me. You could actually add a little purple too. That might help also. If you want to get more of a cornflower blue, I thought this was close enough because I wanted it to combine well with the color of the flowers. I wanted there to be contrast. I really think that's eye-catching. So this is white chocolate, and it's a 3-to-1 ratio. 3 parts chocolate to 1 part heavy cream. Put your cream in your microwave for about 2 minutes, or on your stovetop on a medium setting until it starts to simmer. Add your chocolate, set it aside for a couple of minutes until it starts to melt, and then whisk it together. And then that's when you would include your food coloring also. Now I just kind of poured it on the piece of butcher's paper and just kind of tried to spread it through with my offset spatula there. I did tap, see that towel up there? I tapped that cup quite vigorously on that towel before I started pouring it on the chocolate because I was trying to remove any air bubbles. Anytime you're mixing coloring into your chocolate, you're going to accidentally end up with some air bubbles. And you want to kind of tap those out. I still had some remaining in my chocolate, but it was hard to tell because you can't see the opposite side. I did my best. I honestly did my best. And then just kind of level that out so you don't have too much chocolate on the back. I wanted to leave enough chocolate so that where the fold marks were, that would be up against the cake, that those weren't completely void of chocolate for the most part, because I find that your chocolate won't want to stick if there is not chocolate on that crease line that butts up against the cake. But I should explain. Once that I did my coating of white chocolate, the colored white chocolate on the cake, I put it in the freezer to firm up for a good 20 minutes to a half an hour. And then also another hint too is with this chocolate, once you pour it onto your I'm always going to want to say that, your butcher's paper, let it sit to the point to where when you pick up that paper, it's not dripping out. Otherwise, it's going to fight you. I would say a good 10 to 15 minutes before you lift it up on. See how it's not pouring out the bottom there, but it's still moldable somewhat. So maybe 10-15 minutes. Just pick up a corner and make sure that it's not like moving on you, that the chocolate has stopped moving. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And then I just use my scraper to just kind of reinforce those crease marks. And there you can see it's not as crisp as I wanted it to be, and there are some air bubbles, but that's okay. I think it's still a really impressive look. And I do want to kind of play around and try to figure out some more origami shapes. This is fun to do. And then I just took some more of that melted chocolate and just kind of blended it in where I cut that excess off. You're in between each time, like before you put your butcher's paper up to the cake, chill your cake. After you put the paper on there, chill it for it. I had it in the freezer for maybe 2 hours before I even attempted to remove this. If you try to remove the paper and it pulls away from the cake, leave it. Just leave it in the freezer. It can take a while, and each freezer is going to be different, so I can't give you a for sure amount of time. But once you can remove it easily, go ahead and remove it and then put it back in your freezer until you're ready to assemble the cake. And for this top tier, I just use some buttercream. I'm just spatulaing on my buttercream, and then I will give it a texture after I get that coat on. And it was a pre-crumb coated cake that I am putting this on. Just remove your excess, and I did chill it. Right now I have it in the freezer for about 10 minutes while I prepared my floral wire that I wanted to use as a decoration. I just spiraled it around this cake dowel. It's a super simple way to add some movement to some floral wire, and it's a really neat effect, and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. If you want to do more than just add your flowers, these are nice to add in as a filler. I'm doing my final coat of buttercream on this top tier, and this is a 4-inch 4-layer cake. The bottom one was a 4-inch 5-layer cake. I kind of like that size. It's not oversized, but it's not too small either. You can get the effect of a pretty impressive cake without it being too large. And then I set the top tier in the freezer to firm up before I did the texture. And in the meantime, I'm going ahead and putting my straws for support into the lower tier, the bottom tier. These are just fat straws. I prefer the boba straws because, as you see there, I almost stabbed the cake. They're a little too flexible, a little too soft for if this were to be a cake that I was going to be making for an actual order. These cakes are just for demonstration purposes. I would probably add a few more. Just go ahead and stick them all in and then pull them up a little bit and cut off your excess. And add a little bit of buttercream, or you could add a little bit of chocolate there to attach your top tier. Now this is where I just used my pastry brush and I just used some thinned down buttercream. I just added a little water to it, and I'm just stippling it on there. And I will try to remember to add a link to my buttercream recipe. Now add a little bit of buttercream to stick your decorations into. And I was just going for an abstract side angle type of arrangement on here. I just kind of made this up as I went. I had a base idea, and like I said, I was inspired by that other Instagram artist, but I wanted to make it my own also, so I kind of did some different colors and some different flowers. These are not sugar flowers, these are silk flowers. In real life, I would prefer to use fresh or sugar, but because I do this on my off time, which is not a lot, I do not have time typically to make flowers or want to spend the cost on the fresh flowers, because these aren't for actual orders. This, like I said, just for demonstration purposes. So there you go, guys. Another origami cake with some textured buttercream on the top tier and some floral accents. I hope that you like it, and I do plan on trying some more. And if you do any of these on your own, please tag me on Instagram with pictures. I'd love to see your works also. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my video. And if you'd like to watch some other videos, go ahead and click on the link to one of these other videos shown here. And if you would like to check out my other social media, I am on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, Sophisticakes by Mary. And please take the time to share, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you know when I upload another video. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next tutorial.